Hello, everyone, and welcome to the program. This is Politics Today live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimbaloye in Lagos. By now, perhaps, there will be no Nigerian left out of about 180 million who is not aware of President Buhari's campaign promises. If you have forgotten, let me remind you. In 2018, he reminded the nation, the president said at the State House in Abuja that his administration remained resolute and focused on delivering on the three-pronged promises of securing the lives and properties of Nigerians, halting the pillage of the economy by corrupt public officials, and creating employment opportunities for the youth. In summary, the economy, fighting corruption, and security. Those are the three-legged promises of President Buhari's administration. Well, those promises have now come under intense scrutiny because of the recent situation in the country. On one hand, series of attacks have been staged, leading to deaths of many Nigerians. In fact, the nation on the Global Terrorist Index is still embarrassingly bad. Only a few days ago, the Transparency International released a report stating that Nigeria has done poorly in the last year. On the economy side of things, inflation is biting harder. Back to security issues. Two female suicide bombers have attacked a mosque in Gosa in Borno State, killing a 12-year-old boy and injuring 13 others. Leah Sharibo, a Christian girl abducted by Boko Haram terrorists, is allegedly being delivered of a baby after she was said to have been married off to a commander of the terrorist group. The government says they will find her and safely secure our release to our parents. So where do we go from here, everyone? Tonight, we shall be focusing on the Buhari's administration's efforts on security and securing safety of Nigerians. I mean, a few other issues that are being generated. Basically, focusing on where do we go from here, the solution to some of the myriads of challenges we face as a people. I have joining me tonight, perhaps a first response from the group that has been behind the campaign for the Bring Back Our Girls. The Bring Back Our Girls campaign co-convener Aisha Yusufu joins us from Berlin. We'll soon connect with her as much as we are able to get her on the program. And I've also joining me to give Nigerians a sense of what the Buhari administration is doing on some of these issues, and perhaps to give us a sense also of the safety of Nigerians as planned by the government. Mr. Femi Adesina, Special Advisor to President Muhammadu Buhari on Media and Publicity, is in our Lagos studio. Thank you so much, Mr. Adesina, for coming on tonight.
Thank you. Good evening.
If you look at those three promises the president made to Nigerians in 2015, he reassured Nigerians when he was re-elected that he's going to make sure that he delivers on that. On the anti-corruption side of things, Transparency International said we've done very badly in the last year. On the issues of that's on the issue of corruption. On the issue of the economy, inflation is on the rise. On the issue of security, we've seen killings in the last few months. In fact, if my producer can give us a breakdown of the killings and attacks that we have seen in the country in the past weeks, Mr. Adesina, if you look at them, from late 2019, you can look at it, killings perhaps every other week in December. If you scroll up, and let's flip the page up, it goes on 14 December, 22nd December, killings by the international terror group and Boko Haram. Up until January, Mr. Adesina, all of these attacks have gone on up to today. That's the attack in the Borno Mosque. How would you describe the situation of things? If the president said he's promising three things, and those three things are looking that are not properly met.
Well, as sad and regrettable as some of those attacks are, they have not vitiated the promises made by Mr. President, that he will secure the country, he will restore the economy, and he will fight corruption. Those three promises are well and are alive, and the work continues. At times, you get some gains, you make some reversals, but it does not vitiate the promises. The promises are well and alive, and they will be met.
The promises may be alive, like
they
you said.
are well and alive.
You said they are alive.
Yes.
But is the performance of those promises that Nigerians are looking up to? There are a lot of hopes when he said he's going to secure the nation. They believed him because he was a general in the army. But things have gone really bad, Mr. Adesina. In the Northeast, terribly bad, Mr. Adesina.
Not as bad as you want to make it seem.
No, not me. It is what
It's you.
How
Because
is it me, Mr. Adesina?
millions of Nigerians are listening to you, they're watching you, and they may tend to believe what you're saying. But the situation is not as bad as you make it want to seem. Because we know what the situation was as of 2015. And we know what it is today. Despite the reversals in security, it is still not as bad as it used to be in this country. There was a bombing or two today. There was a time that there were 5, 6, 10 bombings in a day in this country.
How bad do you think it could have gone?
Wait,
I mean, for it to...
No, let me,
because I'm a journalist and I'm putting the facts to you, Mr. Adesina.
And
you said... No,
let me anchor my
you're
point.
You will anchor. You're on the program and you have time. And it's a privilege that you are here also, speaking to Nigerians, and they can hear you. Now, the question I'm asking, you said it is me that is portraying, making it bad. But, Mr. Adesina, for those who have lost loved ones, how bad could it be?
Very, very bad. Even a single soul in a country is very bad to lose that single soul. It's always bad to lose a soul. But then when we begin to make it seem that it is all bad and bad and bad and no redeeming side to it, then it is not proper. There are many redeeming sides to the security situation in the country compared to how President Buhari met it in 2015. And it is those who are affected most who can tell you, particularly those who live in the Northeast. Well, if you hear Nigerian media, if you hear social media particularly, even if you hear some international agencies, you would think that it is all over in the Northeast. It is not. The people living there will tell you that the difference between now and 2015 is the difference between heaven and hell.
I mean, so if you look at, and that's why I brought you some of the statistics of the reported cases.
Yes.
So some cases that are not reported.
Yes.
The reported cases, and you saw them. There is no time that anybody was killed that is not more than 2 people that were killed at each of the attacks. And what we want for our country, you're perhaps not more a Nigerian than I am.
No.
Yeah. So the question is that we want peace in our country.
Exactly.
And the president said he promised that.
And
as a journalist, I'm putting it to you that things have gone bad in the last few. Not me making it seem, is a fact that are on the table.
No. Those facts, relatively to things that were happening in this country before, do not show that the security situation is worse than it was in 2015.
But things are getting worse.
That's
what I'm saying.
I don't agree.
Things may get better, but in the last 2 months, Mr. Adesina.
No. Even the statistics of the last 2 months, as bad as they are, do not indicate that things are worse than they were at a point in this country. We forget very easily. We forget. There were times bombs were going off 10 times in a day in this country. There were times people were being killed scores in a day in this country. We don't want the bombs to sound at all, but there are 2-3 months progressively where you don't have even a firecracker going off. Why don't we remember those
does the president and your office hear things that go on in the Northeast? Do you get reports of what goes on in the Northeast?
I'm sure you see reports of when the president holds security meeting. There was one upper week. There's another in this week that we have started today. He gets briefings regularly. That is why he's president and commander-in-chief of the armed forces. The president is on top of this in terms of getting reports and working at it.
Did you hear of the recent situation in Adamawa and also in Borno and in Kaduna recently? Have you gotten those reports?
Of course. I'm in this country. I'm a media person like you. I am on top of stories and
only that you're in government. And probably the things that you hear are different from the things that we are in the mainstream of the procession here.
We consume information from the same sources.
So now the question I'm asking is, what is the president doing differently? Since the last month, December, we have this spate of attacks. Is there a different approach to it?
And I'm telling you that you make it seem as if since December, things are worse than they have ever been in this
Things
country.
have increased. That's what
Well,
the
then,
rate,
now
Mr. Adesina.
now you are getting
I
nearer
mean,
the truth.
when you say
Now
people
that-
might get emotional with the manner in which you have said it, that I'm making it seem, and I'm telling you that I'm not the one making it seem. It's the facts that are on the table, and that's why if I'm saying it, you might believe. But that's why we put it there for you to also see that these are the space of attacks.
And
those are not our own making. Those are facts.
And I tell you that things have been worse than that in this country. We should be
that be the
thankful.
premise?
We should be yes, we should be thankful. We should be thankful.
For what?
And encourage those who are doing this work. There are young men, young women in the front lines battling this thing day and night. When we make it seem as if they are not doing anything and things are getting worse, they get dispirited. They need to be encouraged. That's what I'm saying.
And here on Channels Television,
Yes.
we support, we praise
Great.
the people of the Nigerian army.
Great.
But
Great.
when a soul is lost to insecurity and to any kind of criminal activities, we also report them. But because you are in government, and the mandate of this government is that it wants to end this insecurity. And when things are not going well, we also have the duty to this job to also ask you who are in government. And so when these things have happened, that's why we're bringing it, that what other things are you doing differently to make sure that what we have seen that has increased over the last 6 weeks to stop or to stem it?
Security issues are not things you discuss on television or on pages of newspapers. When you see the president meeting with security chiefs, what are they discussing? They are strategizing. How best can we attack this issue again so that we bring a decisive end to it? The European Union Commissioner on rehabilitation of displaced people visited the president a couple of days ago, and the president told him that it may seem delayed, it may take a little bit longer, but Nigeria will solve this problem. He said if we fought a 30-month civil war and we reorganized the country and we got it going again, we will settle the issue in the Northeast and it will be permanently settled. But when people come and then there's a babel of voices making it appear as if, oh, the government is not doing anything, the security chiefs should be fired, oh, the military, they should have ended this thing, it dispirits the boys who are there, they die. They die. Decent people die in the hands of indecent people. And they have families. They have people who are left among them. The best we can do as Nigerians is to encourage them.
Yeah, we definitely, those people in the front line, we are, but also those who are in government, we need to call them to account on what they have promised. For example, you got on the bad side of some Christian leaders on the issue of the killing of the Khan leader, Andimi, and they said, look, your comments were uncharitable. That's what they said.
I do not agree with them. I do not agree with them. They are Christian leaders, I respect them. But if a reverend, an apostle, a bishop, or whoever he is called, talks of his president in an irreverent manner, then he doesn't qualify to be a reverend in the first place. Because what they have said about the president are clear lies. I don't expect people who lead me, my spiritual fathers and leaders, to begin to say things that are untrue, particularly about their own country, wanting to drag the government through the mud. If you have biases, keep those biases to yourself. Don't feed those biases to your flock and to millions of Nigerians. I have no apologies on what I've written.
So, I mean, you were trying to say that the Christian leaders are being biased and they are talking like politicians. That's what you said.
When a Christian leader says that they believe that the president is in collusion with insurgents, what is that? It's unkind, it's unfair, it's irreverent. And when a Christian leader says they believe that there is a deliberate attempt to depopulate Christians in the country, what is that? Barefaced lie. Barefaced lie. And no matter the name they go by, reverend, apostle, bishop, if they say an untruth, they do not qualify to bear those titles.
But, I mean, you heard, aside where you are disagreed with those Christian leaders,
Yes.
is also the fact that they are asking that there needs to be a rejigging of the security architecture? Is the president thinking in that line?
Fine. It's their right to ask for that. They can. But you see, in also asking for that, they said everybody in the security architecture belonged to one religion and one ethnic group, which wasn't true. And I pointed it out. That is not true. People in that position must say things that we don't need to double check. We must say, oh, they are leaders of our faith. We must believe what they say. But when they say things that are not true, then they are asking to be questioned.
I mean, when, for example, the president's former colleague in the army are saying the president needs to rejig the hierarchy, the top hierarchy of the military, is the president thinking, because there are school of thought that those chiefs have overstayed and they need to be changed?
Well, you see, it's a matter of opinion. Nigerians can have their say, but there are certain things that it is the person elected that will have his way. That is what is called prerogative in public office. The prerogative has been given to the president to take certain decisions and make certain appointments. When he came, the service chiefs that he inherited stayed with him till maybe about 3 or 4 months after. And then when it was time, he changed them. The prerogative he used to change them is the same one that he will use to change the current one when he thinks it is time to.
Is he thinking that?
Well, you have to get into his mind.
No, but you speak for him. So a lot of the times you speak his mind.
What I can confidently say is that what is best for this country in terms of the security apparatus is what the president wants.
Now, is the president concerned and worried about the fact that the 3 legs of his promises are having troubles? There's trouble in the economy, inflation, there's trouble within the security circle, and there's trouble within the fight against corruption. These are the things that he's promised. Yes. So, I mean, some people will say the president has failed.
Well, it's a matter of opinion. If they say so, and it makes them feel good, they have a right to feel good. But it doesn't change the truth. The truth will always remain the truth.
The question is this, Mr. Femi, Mr. Adesina.
I'm beginning to answer.
We spoke to you earlier today that we invited you on the program, and you said you will come.
Yes.
If you fail to show up, you have failed to show up. It's a fact. If the president promised he was going to fix corruption, he's going to fix security, he's going to fix the economy, and those 3 things are not quite working.
No, you is that say they're not quite working? Your initial word was better, that they are troubled.
Yeah, they are troubled.
Yes, they could be troubled because it's a journey, it's a process. And along that journey, along that process, troubling times may come. But it does not mean that the journey has been truncated or that it has failed. It will still succeed because relatively, though security is troubled, it is still a lot better than it used to be in this country. The economy is showing signs of revamp. Inflation that is at 11.9 now was at 18 or 19 at a certain time. We should remember all these things. Corruption that even they are saying not much has been done. The evidence on ground does not support that. So you cannot say that the president has failed in those 3 areas. They may be troubled.
I'm happy you live in Lagos. Maybe the president may not be opportune to move around, for example, like the VP that goes with on the issue of the trader money, and he goes into markets and the homes of average Nigerians. You live in Lagos. You once live in Lagos. You come to Lagos once in a while. You see what the real people are talking about. Do you talk to the president about some of these things?
Very, very much so. And he knows. He has constituents, immediate constituents. The entire country is his constituency. But he has immediate constituents from Daura, his place, who come to visit him. They give him feedback.
So it's only from Daura that he gets information?
And when we talk, he tells me that his people come to see him and they give him feedback.
Is it only from Daura? Situation in Daura?
I told you.
The situation in Daura might be different from Osun, from Kwara, Benue.
No, Sean, listen to me. I said the entire country is his constituency. The entire country.
Let's take a breather, Mr. Adesina. But before we go on that break, did you see that segment today? The EFCC boss says he's after fraudulent Nigerians will dupe people online. And he said that he is the popular Yahoo boys. He said he's going to go after them.
We are not raiding nightclub. We are going after uh, the Yahoo boys. Yahoo. And we always do that when we have an actionable intelligence that is credible. There is nothing wrong in raiding the Yahoo boys at nightclub. Somebody wrote something sinister. I saw it on the paper. What we do is that we have to put our head together to do something to rehabilitate them, to bring them back so that
When we come back, we return to our conversation on the president's promise and how to keep to them. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Unfortunately, Aisha Yesufu was supposed to be on the program tonight, but we're having difficulty connecting to her via Skype from Berlin because she is a co-convener of the Bring Back Our Girls. And when we talk about the issue of Leah Shaibu, we want to know what the group is talking about and their thoughts on this kind of situation. I've been speaking with the President's Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Mr. Femi Adesina. Thank you so much, Mr. Adesina. On the issue of Leah Shaibu, any hope about bringing her back? We understand now that she's put to bed and perhaps forced into a marriage with one of the commanders of Boko Haram. What's the presidency's reaction to that?
Two things in one. You said that. Any hope of bringing her back? I like that line from Alexander Pope, the poet. Hope springs eternal in the human breast. We must never give up hope. On anything, we must never give up hope. So I believe that Leah Sharibu can return and will return one day by the grace of God. That's the first part of the question.
So before you go into the other one,
yes,
is in what lies in how should we get back,
yes,
and in the efforts of the government,
yes,
in bringing her back.
Yes.
What is the latest? Are you in touch with the terrorist?
No, the government, you mean?
Yes.
Yes, today I was in touch with the top echelon of the security, and I got an update on Leah Sharibu. Of course, I can't talk about everything now. All I can just say is that there is still a window, there is a communication channel, and the hope that she will one day come back is alive.
So, I mean, it brings to the question that the military is in talks to bringing her back.
Not necessarily the military, security. Let's say security.
The security
yes, it could include some
other
parts
agencies
of the military, different inter-agency cooperation. But yes, there is hope that one day she'll be back.
They are in touch with the abductors of Leah Shaibu.
I know that there is a window open for discussion.
So, in that sense, are they able to confirm whether or not she put to bed?
Well, the news came out this morning. You read it just like as I read it, and it was one of the things I wanted to know, but the security agencies will have to authenticate that information later. It's not for me to authenticate.
You remember, okay, so the other side to the question I asked is about putting to bed.
Yes, and that's what I said, that the onus is on the security to authenticate that.
Okay. So, but you said there is a link,
yes,
and perhaps
there is.
Hopes to stay alive in
yes,
bringing her back.
Definitely.
I'm very sure that the parents of Leah Sharibu hearing this should be happy that if the government keep to their words, Leah Sharibu will be back.
They should not lose hope. They should not lose hope.
Okay. So it takes me to the Andimi's killing, the Khan leader. The president made a statement, and it gives an impression that maybe there is a promise that this man was not going to be killed. That was the impression given in that statement that we read from the president on that day when this story came in.
The story of the killing?
Absolutely. The beheading of the candidate.
It was a condolence statement, and that statement said, yes, there were talks with the abductors who demanded for as high as 800 million, and between the Adamawa state government, federal government, and all that, there were ways, there were things going on to secure the man's release. Then the news came that he had been executed. It shows you that right from the beginning, there was no intention to release the man. If it was money they wanted, money was being put together. You remember the president had said in his first year in office that whatever it takes to get the hostages back, particularly the Chibok girls then, he said if it meant paying, he will pay. So money will have been paid for Reverend Andimi if that was what it entailed to get his release.
But the president, in that statement, did say that the terrorists made a very big mistake on this one.
For every life they take, it's a big mistake because they will pay for it.
So,
pay.
so the expectation was that the president was going to hit them hard. I mean, we saw another statement coming from the presidency today that the president had ordered very intense attack on the terrorists. We saw that from your colleague, Mr. Agabashu.
It's an ongoing exercise. It's ongoing. Wherever the terrorists are, the military will deal with them.
We felt some venom in that statement on the day Mr. Andimi was killed.
Because the president felt very saddened. Very saddened. You need to see how the president reacts to a single death. To a single death. I've been with him a number of times when such news were broken to him, and you could see how crestfallen he appears to be at times. Therefore, he will do all that is necessary to protect Nigerians. But the situation at hand is a very complex one. When you talk about Nigeria, do you remember what is happening in Mali? Do you remember what is happening in Niger, Mauritania, Burkina Faso? Throughout the Sahel. Do you know that similar things are happening? That shows you that it is not just Nigeria.
We are Nigeria.
Yes.
And we are great people.
But we are
and
linked.
We're capable of solving this problem.
That is what Mr. President told the EU Commissioner just on Thursday. Nigeria can solve
So
this
when
problem.
people elected President Buhari,
Yes.
they wanted him to fix it. And he promised that he's going to fix it.
It's not going to be by the snap of a finger. It's going to be a process, and that process is on, and that process will be concluded.
Well, because of our time, let me... did you speak to the president about the agitation from some Nigerians when his daughter took the private jet to on a private trip to Bauchi?
No, I didn't, because for me, family issues are off limits. I don't touch it, because the president has a right to his family life. If he calls me and says, put this statement out about this development in my family, I'll gladly do it. But I don't interfere in his family because he has a right to his privacy as a family man.
U.S.-Nigerian relations. What's the president's take on the fact that America has enlisted Nigeria, reportedly, to cut down on the entry, the number of entries granted to Nigerians?
It's not been done yet. It's something that is about to start, but it's not done. But I can tell you of a fact that while we were in the UK last week, the matter came up at a briefing with the president, and there will be engagement between Nigeria and the American authorities.
Before I allow you to go, Mr. Adesina, on the issue of the economy, we know that there is an economic team that the president has put together. And on the case where the inflation on 2 consecutive reports now has gone bad, are we seeing any reaction from the president?
And why did inflation go up in those 2 reports? Because Nigerian borders are closed, partially closed. But the advantages of closing the border are higher than opening them now. When you open the borders, influx of arms and ammunition, influx of hard drugs, then smuggled food products. The advantages of closing that border for some time more far outweigh opening them. If inflation goes up marginally, eventually it will respond to that policy and come down again.
So the president is not going to order the reopening of the partial closure?
Not too soon.
Not too soon.
What he told the Ghanaian president in UK last week was that he has set up a committee to look into the matter, when the committee made up of customs, immigration, and all the relevant agencies submit their report, that report will be considered. And after the consideration, the next thing will follow. So it may take a while.
Mr. Femi Adesina, Special Advisor to President Muhammadu Buhari on Media and Publicity, thank you so much for talking to us tonight on the program.
Thank you. My pleasure.